Heels and Heelettes, welcome back to another episode of Wednesday Night Warriors. Usually, my man Romeo Anthony Colon leading us in, but he took a PTO. He needed a personal day off, so it's all good. I'm your boy Chris G. I'm still here with baby joint Mary Jane, but filling in for my man Romeo, none other from the All Elite Recap right here on the YouTube channel, the True Heel Heat YouTube channel. We have my good brother Marcus Cash. What's
What's
good,
good,
baby? How you
bro?
feeling?
Uh,
Welcome to the Wednesday Night Warriors.
it's good to be here. Weird to be here. Pulling double duty, double Wednesday duty this week, I guess. Um, how I'm feeling? We're gonna get into that one.
Yeah, yeah. It's been a rough week of wrestling. Not in a bad way. Not in a bad way. Just a lot going on. So we're gonna start off with AEW first. Before we get into it, we want to remind everybody at home, please hit that like button, share, subscribe, comment, all that good shit. Show us the love. We will show the love back. It's the true heel heat way. AEW, we start off with Negative One's birthday party. The Dark Order come out, they all sing happy birthday. Luther interrupts, basically, he's saying, I look stupid, look at you, you got a mask on, trying to pick a fight with a little kid. The balls of this guy. Leads into a match. We have the Chaos Project and the Hybrid 2 versus Dark Order and Hangman Page. Fun, fast-paced car crash. Luther eats cake at the end. Serpentico gets hit with a cane shot by my man Negative One. He hits him with the papers. His birthday was last week, you idiots. Dark Order can't get shit right. They win the match. They try to recruit Adam Page. They have this whole elaborate congratulations set up, but Hangman is just not ready to commit to another team. He's done it before and it didn't work out. Doesn't want to do it again. I actually enjoyed this. By the look on your face, I think you might be feeling a little different. So, how'd you feel about this?
Um, Dynamite starting with -1 immediately made me a -1 about what this show was gonna look like. Um, I get that he had a terrible tragedy. I feel for him and his family. I commend Tony Khan for being such upstanding individual that they really just want to make the family happy. I get that. You had your tribute show. It feels exploiting at this point from AEW side to keep trotting this kid out here week after week after week. If it's his idea and he asks to be on camera, you got a whole other show on YouTube for that mess, right? Put it on dark, not on cable television TNT when you're supposed to be in a quote unquote war. Um, in terms of the match, I I have a list, a top 10 list of people from AEW if I never saw again, it'd be too soon. Dr. Luther is very high on that list. Okay. So I'm not feeling great. Alex Reynolds is also on that list, ironically. So like I'm not feeling great, but the ending was fantastic. So if you gave me just the last minute of this match and then the post match, well, second half of the post match, then I'm great. Right? You had this buckshot lariat into a German suplex into the roll up thing, right? That was awesome. Um, the birthday cake stuff again, dark, backstage, not at all. Pretend the camera's on. I don't care. I don't need to see it on. It doesn't further any storylines whatsoever because he's not going to be a weekly fixture. Okay, so away with all of that, especially Luther getting close up camera time, and then after that, John Silver's hilarious. His I'm not sure how politically correct you guys are on this channel overall, but his appreciation, let's say, for Hangman Adam Page is hysterical. A bit disappointed. I expected Hangman to accept the invitation. I'm hoping it's a swerve and he ends up doing so later on. I'm all here for the drunk order.
Yeah, the whole cake thing. I mean, I hope this is it. I hope we don't see -1 on Dynamite a
Mm.
lot after this. Let's try to keep him special. I don't want to see him every fucking week. But I'm happy that they celebrated his birthday since he doesn't have his dad around to celebrate it with him. Uh, but yeah, those last few minutes of that match was crazy. I think it's going to be a slow tease. I think Hangman does eventually join, but I'd rather see the story unravel. I'm glad they didn't go straight into it yet. Next up, we have Tony Schiavone, and he's with Sting. Well, he calls out Sting, you know. Sting wants to congratulate Darby Allin on being TNT champion. Team Taz interrupts, tells him to shut up. They say you can't see us in the streets. You do all this dirty shit. You say you guys are good, that you fight fair, but you know you got hitting people with bats and skateboards and all this other junk. They they basically challenge Darby and Sting to a street fight. Be careful what you wish for because it might just happen. So I believe that Revolution is the next pay per view. We will see Brian Cage and Ricky Starks against Sting and Darby Allin in a street fight. Call me old fashioned, but I'm all for it. I love Sting.
I'm curious to see it. A tag team street fight. Um, a third person on my list is Sting. Not because he's Sting, but because he's 97 years old. Um, I get they signed him and they're going to use him in a match and whatever. I've come to grips with that, nonetheless. You know what would have been interesting if they go up next. Sting comes to the ring. Sting has something to say. Sting addresses Darby Allin. No, they gave everything away. Sting's coming out next to congratulate Darby Allin on the title he won 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks ago. How long has it been? Right? That nobody has publicly congratulated him on except for Cody Rhodes, except for Tony Schiavone, except for the announced team, whatever, right? Nobody's come out to the ring. Is Darby Allin such an asshole that nobody else wanted to come out to the ring and publicly congratulate Darby Allin and Sting felt so compelled to congratulate Darby? Ugh. What was that besides a forced reason to get them both into the ring so Taz and Ricky and Brian and Willie can all interrupt them for the 7th week in a row or whatever it's been? This is dragging on forever. I do want to see the street fight. Mostly because despite my initial reaction to him, Ricky Starks has been amazing. Brian Cage is amazing. I know Taz is going to be involved. I expect Powerhouse Hobbs to be involved. I'm curious to see what Hook can actually do. I guess we'll see who's going to come to further help Sting and Darby because there's got to be somebody else. Maybe Cody finds his way back into the storyline somehow. I don't know. But I'm curious to see it. But it felt forced. It felt like with Dynamite in general, it just feels like they have a really good week and then they ran up all of their ideas and they just put it together another show. That other show feels like this week.
I will say it does feel like it's been a while since we did have one of those type of shows. So I agree with you. But as much as this shit does feel like it's been dragging, I definitely want to see Sting in some type of capacity, just for the nostalgic feeling. He was one of my favorites, so I'm staying with him. Next up, we have a meeting at Kenny Omega's house where, you know, they have the Elite. Well, it's just the Young Bucks, and they're showing up. They're greeted by Michael Nakazawa, who seems to be Kenny's personal assistant these days. They see a nice painting of Kenny Omega and Don Callis in jean shorts, or just jeans and very ripped, very muscular, looking like well, I don't know what they look like. I can't really compare it at this moment. They finally see Don Callis. He says, you know, Kenny's too busy right now. They throw fucking Alex Marvez and the camera guy in the dungeon. Throw him in the dungeon. Somebody's gonna go stretch him while we have this conversation. He tries to buy out the Young Bucks for their friendship with Kenny Omega. Not gonna happen. Young Bucks don't want to be bought out. They eventually, I guess, throw a little party with Don Callis. We see Don Callis later, and he got a black eye. Kenny Omega's like, what the fuck? Drippy as fuck, by the way. He had a nice shirt. Sees Don Callis. He's like, what happened? Got attacked by the Young Bucks. We're gonna see some tension between them now. So just waiting for it to unravel. How would you feel about these little segments throughout the night with these guys?
The segments in general, but this one in particular, were the best parts of the show. Uh, I a fourth person on my list is Michael Nakazawa, typically. Uh, this segment also featured a fifth person on my list, Matthew Jackson. Um, but this was a splendid segment. Them first off, I didn't catch if they said Kenny just moved into this house yesterday or something. I'm assuming Kenny's been there for a while because he's got a bit of furniture. Okay, so for his best friends of 12 years, they've obviously never been to his house because they had no idea where this living room was. That they needed this personal assistant, Michael Nakazawa, which is a decent role. If you can keep him in that and outside of the ring, great. Um, well, they had to have Michael Nakazawa show them around to the living room, which is one room away, like they've never been here before. And then to correct your quote, Nakazawa-san dungeon.
Yeah, yeah.
Hilarious. And then even later on, where Don Callis, to fast forward a little bit because it kind of goes together, Don Callis has like this, bruising on his face, and he goes, "Nah, I don't want to start any trouble. I don't want to tell you who it is. I was Nick and Matt." Oh man, dang, I said it. This is playing out geniusly. Um, I love this tension. I thought we were gonna get like this super click thing, but I guess not. I guess we're gonna have, I have no idea, Omega and the Good Brothers versus Young Bucks and who? Cody, who finds his way and everything, or Hangman, who gets his friends back. Yuck. Uh, I don't know. They got a bunch of different ways they can go with that, and that's the exciting part of this.
Yeah, that's true. I like the intrigue around it, so I'm just waiting to see what happens. I don't want to jump to any conclusions. I usually come up with a prediction, but not tonight. Next up, we got Pretty Peter Avalon versus Cody Rhodes. That crossover theme between the old Cody theme and Snoop Dogg's version is two thumbs down, fucking trash, certified trash. Stick to one. Either have the full Snoop Dogg theme or the full old theme. Jada comes to watch after a quick crossroads. The ref is distracted for some reason, and Pretty Peter hits him with a low blow. Then we actually have like a fucking 13-minute match somewhere around there. Decent legwork. I mean, just not my cup of tea. I think fucking Pretty Peter Avalon shouldn't be having 15-minute matches with Cody Rhodes on Dynamite. But it wasn't a bad match, surprisingly. So I just don't like the ending. The fucking guy tapped out while he was in the figure four, not because of the pain, but because he thought Cody Rhodes was going to smack him. Because he's too pretty, he can't get hit in the face. Meanwhile, he was probably getting punched in the face all match. Yeah, this was just there for me. How'd you feel about it?
So we're noticing a theme on my parts of these recaps here. Number 6 on this list of people I would say I can never see again is Putrid Peter Avalon. Okay, so we're hitting all of my faves on this episode of Dynamite. For those of you keeping score, I don't think Peter Avalon should have a job in AEW in the first place. I think the talent on their roster, especially every so often as they hire more people that were let go by wherever else, is way too robust for someone of Peter Avalon's skill set. But if he has a job because he knows somebody, see Brandon Cutler, then whatever, you have another show on YouTube for this. That show's 2.5 hours long every week. You've got room for him over there. Okay? I got excited at first, foolish me, because I thought we were going to get a squash, because we've only had 2 squashes in the history of Dynamite in the year plus it's been on. We had a crossroads immediately, which is a blow to his face, by the way, and we were going to get a win. Jade Cargill comes out. I'm fine with that because she looks like a star and she didn't talk tonight, which is a double plus because you shouldn't do that. Just come out, be a statuesque figure, intimidating, and just do that. Great. Now from there, if we either do a Peter Avalon roll-up win for whatever reason, or he tries to do it and Cody just hits another crossroads and ends it, great. But Cody Rhodes needs to have these epic matches with everyone he's in the ring with. And the argument I see online is, well, he's trying to put over everybody. No, Cody is putting himself under. Okay, he's putting himself under Peter Avalon. He did it with Warhorse. He did it with Mark Quinn, which I love Mark Quinn, but Mark Quinn's not a single star. Like you've already eliminated yourself from the world title picture. Now I'm seeing you as not deserving of being in any title pictures. Maybe not even on Dynamite. You're the guy who made the company, in my opinion, anyway, and you're putting yourself as someone who should be on Dark. It's disgusting.
Warhorse rules ass, by the way.
Although I do want to make a quick note. The best thing I loved about this is that he tapped out because he was going to get hit in the face. Because at least he's true to his gimmick. Not enough people.
Yeah,
Not enough people.
but he should have tapped out fucking 17 minutes ago for that. After he got hit with the crossroads, you know what I mean?
I'm with you. It should have been on Dynamite. Should have lasted that long. But at least somebody's true to their gimmick instead of like remembering it when it's convenient, which a lot of people do. So I'll give him credit for that, despite the irony of the fact that Pretty Peter Avalon had a match tonight against what used to be Dashing Cody Rhodes.
Shit, didn't even think about that. All he needed was the mustache. I want him to grow the mustache back just for a week.
This match had a lot of smoke and mirrors.
Ah! All right, we have Matt Sydal and Top Flight taking on Hardy Party. Top Flight did some weird shit that made no sense a few times. But they're not bad. They had a nice little spot, triple roll into a Boston single crab, whatever you want to call it. JR was ripping the ref the whole time on commentary for not keeping true to the 5 or 10 second rule, which makes sense. It's just funny how he doesn't give a fuck anymore. He's just gonna rip the refs. Hardy slows down the match eventually. Then he has a nice little side effect spot where he side effects all three guys on the other team. Cassidy uses a chair. Finally, some aggressive heel tactics after being guided by Matt Hardy. They were resisting, but they finally gave in. They hit this guy, Mark Quinn, hits the shooting star press. They get the win. After that, they beat up Top Flight and Matt Sydal because they were pissed. Turns out Private Party was even more angry, so they took their frustrations out on them. I think we could actually call them full-blown heels in one segment. Did they go full heel? I think they went full heel, and I'm fucking all for it because they're cocky bastards anyway. I don't like them as baby faces. I think this is great for them. So how'd you feel about it?
I'll agree with you first off. I think they're full-blown heels. And I think it was solidified when Mark Quinn, despite his moment hesitation, that he was like, all right, I can get behind this. And then he did his splash, and then cockily did the pinfall. I like the character progression from Private Party. They're my favorite tag team in AEW. They would have had the straps a long time ago, in my opinion, if it was up to me, if I had the book, Tony. But I love that we finally got some character progression that could have came 6 to 9 months ago, when they realized that they weren't going to get a push despite beating the Young Bucks on a random episode of Dynamite. This could have been a long time ago, people. But I'm glad it's here now. I'm glad that it also leads to the removal of Big Money Matthew Hardy from my list of people that I hate on AEW. So I appreciate that. This is triply effective all around. I also like the trio of Matt Sydal and Top Flight. I think that makes sense. I think that can work well together. If there was a trios belt, I think that could argue for maybe inaugural champions. What I also think is maybe their first match together should probably be on Dark or at one of the Rhodes Academies or QT Marshall's Academy or whatever. There's like 19 schools that they own. Instead of on Dynamite where they're clearly no chemistry between them whatsoever, and this team that I really do want to root for, Dante and Darius, they look green as hell. They look so green. They had a spot where they nearly killed each other about 4 different times.
Okay. For nothing.
And that's not even counting the awkwardness that led to Mark Quinn hopscotching or whatever before hitting a Trouble in Paradise. What are you doing? What are you doing? This match would be fantastic in a year or two from now. It was rough around the edges tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. I think there's potential there for a good match, but this one just missed a little bit for us.
Yeah, it could be a rivalry for the ages, but it's we've got to get some continuity. Goddamn it!
Put them on dark, damn it.
Yeah.
In the main event, we have the Inner Circle three-way tag team match. This is gonna hurt. MJF and Jericho's they have a theme song crossover. Two thumbs fucking trash again. Let me down. I just want to hear Judas. Sammy Hager, the actual lead singer from Van Halen, former lead singer, loves the tag team of Sammy Hager. So that's a good thing. Sammy showing up Jericho early in the match with some really good shit. He really shined in this match. I think he got the most spotlight out of everybody. Santana and Ortiz, man, good showing, good double team action from them. Unfortunately, Chris Jericho attempts a lion salt, and fuck, I can't say it. I don't want to say it. I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. I said on like an early episode of Wednesday Night Warriors, maybe episode 4 or 5. I said it's time for Jericho to hang up the boots if he can't hit the lion salt anymore. And he almost broke his fucking neck trying to do a lion salt. I don't even care about the match. They won. Jericho and MJF won. Do you think it's time for Jericho to hang it up?
Okay, for starters, I am mystified that you did not like that hybrid MJF and Chris Jericho thing. That was fantastic. It flowed perfectly, and also, while I like Judas, it saved us from the 4 minutes long of people just singing Judas over and over and over again. Okay, here and there, like a pay-per-view thing, for example, it's fantastic. Every single week, not so much. Um, but they blended it well, which is more than we can say for the last 5 years of tag teams over in Vince McMahon land, where they just take two themes and they just go back and forth with no symmetry whatsoever. The Sammy Hagar thing, I don't know why I didn't see it coming. That's I was mad at myself when I saw it. I was like, why didn't I expect this? Why didn't I expect this to happen? Your question, Jericho. I don't know. So I have a general rule. There's exceptions, so it's not a hard rule, but I have a general rule of about 45 years or so. I don't want to see you wrestling anymore. Right? If you're past 45, I'm not in a rush to give you a contract for in-ring performer. Now, there's exceptions to that rule, right? Sid called me out on this. He brought up Ric Flair, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, I loved Ric Flair when he was old. I loved Ric Flair after '96, and he was 100 and I don't know what at that point, right? So that's an exception. Okay, I think Jericho can still go. Maybe he needs to retire the Lion Salt itself, but he can still do a code breaker. He can still do that Judas elbow that nobody's kicked out of, as far as I remember, right? He still needs to lose a gut, but he can still be decent enough and put people over. I had a third example. I don't remember who the third old person was, but there's certain exceptions. So I don't think he needs to retire necessarily yet. The match was really good though. Oh, I should stop playing with my AirPods. The match was really good though, and I enjoyed that in one match they made. I was going to call him Sammy Hagar. Jake Hager not look like an idiot all of a sudden because he's been a complete imbecile for months. He's the smartest guy in the match, catching people when they're about to cheat. Sammy Guevara looks like a star, and he is, and he will be. So, if this leads to him branching off, not yet, but when it does, he's going to look fantastic. Pride and Powerful had the most continuity because, hello, they're the only real team in the match. But it makes sense that MJF and Jericho win this match because next week there's a tag team battle royal for a number one contendership, and my assumption is that this match means that they're going to be the only Inner Circle representatives in that tag team battle royal.
Yeah. I mean, I should mention the match itself was pretty cool, and I like the fact that they made JK look good too. Um, but yeah, I mean, I kind of wanted to see Santana and Ortiz win just because I think they're the true tag team,
Yeah, of
and they're
course.
Puerto Rican, of course. They're my brothers. I got to root for them. But you can't go wrong with MJF and Jericho. It's good storytelling in the long term. So we'll see what happens. Just a few other segments that happened in AEW this week of some importance. We had FTR and Jungle Express basically facing off, and Jungle Boy will have a one-on-one match with Dax next week. Looking forward to that.
I very much am. I think Jungle Boy is a future star. I love me FTR. I retweet them all the time. I can enjoy them in a singles match. There's no Marco Stunt involved in this. I like Luchasaurus, but he's not going to be involved in this. These are wins all around. I might prefer Cash versus Jungle Boy. Maybe I can get that the following week, but this is going to be fantastic. I'm here for that, and I'm here for the segment that they had because it made FTR look like the chicken shit heels where they didn't want to talk up in front of Luchasaurus, but then he threw his drink against the wall later. I'm here for all of that.
Yeah, just good shit all around. I would actually like to see Cash. I think he's a better, probably it would be like a better singles guy. But I mean, Dax probably he has his own style, so I think it'll mesh well with Jungle Boy. They'll tell a good story. They have a good match. We have a Mox, not so much of a squash, but he's having a match with this guy named Nick Camarado. He is a student of QT Marshall and Dustin Rhodes. Looks like a fucking beast, like a baby Brody, Bruiser Brody, kind of powerful dude. But Mox is brawling, kicking, biting, doing whatever he can. He eventually chokes him out, and he wants Kenny, man. He's coming for Kenny. So I think Mox is going to be the guy to be helping the Young Bucks against Kenny and the Good Brothers.
Oh, I forgot about that for a second. Yuck. Ugh. Yuck.
I think that is the direction they're going. Hopefully, it doesn't make you throw up.
I do want to put one thing over really quick. JR in a throwaway line because nobody made any stronger reference to this on the show for whatever reason. Nick Camarado, or Nick Caveman, as I'm going to affectionately refer to him as from now on. Nick Caveman was the only man brave enough to accept the challenge for a match against Jon Moxley. JR mentioned that Excalibur and Toni just let it sink. So total miss on you on that part for you guys. But I like that. I don't know when he's next going to be on Dynamite, right? I watch Dark. I've never really cared for any Nick Camarado matches on Dark, but he looks good. He looks like I sound like Cornette every time without trying. He looks like a grown adult. So he looks the part, and it was a solid showing for him versus Jon Moxley. I think this is another guy that they could do something with no time soon because somebody needs to learn how to do the monster, push thing first because they failed every time so far. But when they figure out how to do a monster's push, this is the next guy to do it with.
Yeah, I'm all for it. This guy, for somebody that we haven't seen much, he looked crisp. I mean, he doesn't look like any fucking slouch, and he has a presence about him. So definitely would like to see more. Yeah, definitely. And last but not least, we had the Good Brothers killing Penta backstage. So yeah, and a match between Layla Hirsch and Penelope Ford.
Yeah, I don't know what Kenny Omega was wearing, but I do like that they laid out Penta because that gives an excuse to have Pac and Rey Fenix, which is a much better tandem. Not the biggest Penta fan in the world. He's kind of, I call him Uncle Penta, Dio Penta, because he's a bit old and slow and fat. But yeah, I think it makes for a better match. I'm glad he got laid out. You mentioned Layla Hirsch. I'm all the way here for Layla Hirsch. All 4'11" of her. She is I want to say star in the making, but she's first off nobody besides like two people in the women's division is a star, and in the making there's like maybe two other ones. they've got their work cut out. But when they get their stuff together, she is another building block for that division. She's their Shayna Baszler. You know what I'm saying? Like, credential-wise, maybe not even close. But in terms of look, presence, believability,
Presentation. Yeah.
right? Presentation. She's a shooter. She's a badass, right? She's not here to screw around. She doesn't need to have a personality, and I'm fine with that because she's a badass. I'm here for that. Legit Layla Hirsch. Also, glad that there was outside circumstances that probably can't be mentioned by name on YouTube still that affected the fact that Nyla Rose couldn't have this match tonight because Nyla Rose versus Layla Hirsch was going to be terrible. So I'm glad that we got a spotlight for Penelope Ford again because she wrestles once every quarter. But B, also, we had this Layla Hirsch match where she can look good, and then we got the excuse to tie into Charles Taylor.
I can't believe I forgot about Charles Taylor.
This was my second favorite thing on the whole show. Was all of this. So
yeah.
this was pretty
After
cool.
the match, Penelope Ford gets the win, but a good showing between both women. I thought it was actually a pretty good match. Layla Hirsch I think, can be a star in the making eventually. And Penelope Ford, she looks like she trimmed down a little bit. She moves a little faster, and she looks a little bit more crisper. So she's getting better.
Yeah, she's got to lose that weight, but she's getting better.
Yeah. Miro forces Charles Taylor to look at Orange Cassidy and tell him Miro is his best friend now. And it breaks OC's heart.
Here for all of this. I said on, I don't remember what roundtable, but the last roundtable I was on, that I think we need a break from Orange Cassidy. I think we need to take Orange Cassidy off of television for a little while because they gave him a nice little push and then did nothing with it. So he's back to where he was in the first place, and it's just kind of the same old stuff. The same old stuff's not terrible, but you gotta give me a little break now. So I'm hoping he takes some time off from Heartbreak. We get the Charles Taylor thing for the next 3 weeks just with Miro. And I don't know what else. And then maybe they have the big comeback after his contract expires and he doesn't have to be the butler anymore or whatever. But give me a few weeks off.
I think this is going to last a while. I think he's going to be the butler until maybe even Trent is ready to come back, which is going to be a long time.
I hope so. It's supposed to be a month, but I hope so. I hope so. Just make that.
Oh, I thought it was going to be longer than that. But, I mean, if it's only a month, then, I mean, that's still not bad, though. 3 or 4 weeks. I'll take
it. They have a trademarkable name now, Charles Taylor. That's a thing. Make it a thing. You can't get Chuck Taylor, so make Charles Taylor a thing.
That is true.
Eddie Kingston, the Mad King. He's got that segment in the back. They try to interview him about, I don't remember what the hell. But Lance Archer shows up, right? And he's like, oh, with the poetry. Because Lance Archer's talking. I don't know who signs off on Lance Archer talking, but stop it. But we're going to get a match that Eddie Kingston desperately needs to win. If anyone in Jacksonville listens to this, Eddie Kingston needs to win this match, preferably because Jake the Snake Roberts turns on him and he aligns with the family of violence. That's my hope. But Eddie Kingston needs his win because he's been losing everything of importance since he's gotten there. And, I mean, so has Lance Archer, but Lance Archer's still 100 feet tall, so he can bounce back. So I just want to get those 2 cents in there. I
don't think Eddie's gonna win, but I hope he gets the W.
I hope he gets it.
All right, we're gonna go into NXT, which is primarily Dusty Classic matches, but we first start off with Kushida and Leon Ruff taking on the team of The Way, which is Austin Theory and Johnny Gargano. Beth Phoenix is back in the booth. Why?
You're not a Beth Phoenix fan, Chris.
Of her in-ring. I think, on commentary, she's gotten a little better. I think her timing's still a little trash.
You're not a fan of her commentary?
It's growing on me.
Oh, you sold I was hoping you'd say no, so I don't sound like a complete sexist when I say, can we get
Well,
her
I'm
back?
trying to stay neutral. I'm trying to stay neutral. I'm trying not to be the sexist on the show.
She stinks. She's worse than Vic Joseph, who's bad because Vic Joseph consistently, by the way, uses the wrong word for what he's trying to say. At some point toward the end of the show, he used a phrase. He wanted to say innovative violence, but I think he said conservative violence or consistent violence. He said consistent violence, but he was like, no, innovative violence. That's a new move that you haven't seen before. Use the right words. You're a journalist. And Beth Phoenix is still worse. I don't understand. Anyway, that's my spiel.
It's you're not gonna get an argument from me. Solid tag match though, good pacing. Kushida and Ruff get the upset in my eyes. I didn't think. Well, I did predict they were gonna win this, but obviously the favorites would be Austin Theory and Johnny Gargano. They will have a match with the Grizzled Young Veterans in the next round. How do you feel about the match? Are you looking forward to the match with the Grizzled Young Vets next?
Okay. Um, the fact that we knew the Grizzled Young Veterans were the opponents next week uh, was the disappointing part because it kind of gives away what's happening in this match, right? I like James Gibson, James Drake, whatever. That's James Gibson's team. Let's be honest. Um, but they're heels. They're heels, right? They're your heels. Um, so you kind of figured Kushida and Leon Ruff are going to pick up the win here, especially because they're kind of pushing Kushida with the whole North American Championship desires that he's had recently, and they're pushing Leon Ruff for I don't know what reason, actually. Um, and then you have the narrative that Austin Theory is a big klutz and he can't get out of his own way, and he's just there to frustrate Johnny Gargano, and maybe they have their own feud later on, whatever. I think all of that though can come much later on because they're a brand new stable, people. They're a brand new foursome, two tag teams. Luckily enough, how does Austin Theory and Johnny Gargano, one of your champions, not pick up the win in this match? That doesn't make any sense to me. Just creative, get out of your own way, and just do the obvious thing. Let them pick up the win here. Um, a match against the Grizzled Young Veterans? It seems like an odd mix. Like I can't picture Leon Ruff and Kushida. I can't picture them together in the first place, so it's already weird. But I can't picture them against the Grizzled Young Veterans. This is weird to me. But it was a pretty good match, so there was that at least.
Yeah, definitely a good opener for NXT.
A
Next we
lot
have
better
a
than a birthday.
Pete Dunne. Yeah, if we're going segment for segment, I think this match is definitely better for the first few minutes, but once the tag team match on AEW picked up in the last few minutes with the hangman moves and all that shit, it's kind of hard. But Pete Dunne has a promo next, and he wants Balor to pass the torch. He's tired of the comparisons. He can't wait to get his hands on Balor and the NXT title. I thought this was good shit by Pete Dunne, considering he's not really a strong promo. But man, I'm here for it. I just want the match to happen. I'm waiting for it. Eventually, we see Finn Balor go meet with William Regal, and he's like, "I'm sick of waiting, man. I want this man right now. I want Pete Dunne, but first, I got to take out Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch, and fuck it, let's do it now." Williams Regal's like, "Hold on, boss. Get you out of your own way. You need a partner. You need somebody to help you out to take these two guys out first." And he goes to none other than Kyle O'Reilly. Nice little thread throughout the show. The Pete Dunne shit was good. Balor getting straight to the point, and of course, it was kind of obvious he was going to go to Kyle O'Reilly. But I am excited to see them fight as a tag team. So, are you excited to see them as a tag team?
Yeah, I like all of this, all the parts of this story. Best Pete Dunne has sounded speaking like ever, as far as I've known him. So when there, if you can pre-tape and do like a edits like cinema thing or whatever that was with him speaking all the time, awesome. Never give him a live mic again. But that was great. Finn going to Regal was great. Regal being, the general manager. No, I got to protect you from yourself, which is the reasoning. You got to find a partner. Great. Somebody owes me a favor. Goes to Kyle O'Reilly. The UE boys hilariously find a way to get Fish's name in the graphic while they're standing there. And then they have this most awkward, tense stare off as they're agreeing to team up in a fight without ever saying specifically that they're going to team up for a fight. All of that was very well done. So I was here for all parts of that.
Yeah, super awkward. It was just a lot of one-word answers and nods. Just ready?
And
Okay.
After the last thing that was said, they are still staring at each other for another 45 seconds or something ridiculous. I'm like, this is getting weird. It's getting a little weird. It was very well done, though.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the match for sure. Next up, we see Malcolm Bivens, and he's waiting for William Regal. He needs to talk to him about something important. He's trying to get a match for his client, Tyler Russ. But Tyler Russ was there early. He's talking to William Regal, and he gets himself a match with Bronson Reed. Malcolm didn't think this was a good idea. You don't want this guy to be your first match, but fuck it, you got the match. Let's go take care of business. I did not care for this match. Tyler Russ looks all right, but I am not the biggest Bronson Reed fan. I knew he was going over because they're just giving him consistent TV time and wins. I don't know why. So, yeah. What's your feelings on Bronson Reed and Tyler Russ?
Bronson Reed, I just don't care about yet. I don't hate him. To be clear, I don't hate him. I think I might actually end up liking him, but I don't have enough reason to care yet. They're working on it though because they're giving him a much better presentation with this incarnation of him versus when he first showed up, right?
So the big boy.
I would lose a little Godzilla thing that's a little hokey on his jacket, but it's a much better presentation with the stomp on the steps and the close up and the Titantron thing that they do with him. All that stuff's pretty cool. Tyler Russ, first off, that name is terrible. But and it's also weird because they usually don't give you the same name, any part of it, as somebody else, especially if they're on the same brand. So on a brand that has Tyler Breeze, it's weird that I see Tyler Rust. But he looks like Creator Wrestler 6 on the preset. Like, and I have two guys on this show that look just like that, Creator Wrestler models. I don't know. I don't care for the look. I don't know how you would fix it or what you do about it. Skinny, lanky guy with the long, blonde or brown hair just seems to be a common thing in wrestling right now. So that, is what it is, I guess. The Bivens thing, though, interesting. He wants to be a manager, but he's got an overzealous client, and that makes for interesting storylines. So I'm here to see what happens for that, mostly because at least Bivens has somebody I can at some point care about instead of when he used to manage Indushare or whatever their names were. So
I 100% forgot about those fucking guys. But yes, yeah, more Malcolm Bivens though, because he is good. Next up, we have Karrion Kross killing, not even squashing, killed Ashanti the Adonis. Turns out Ashanti Adonis is hurt and cannot compete at 205 Live. Just good shit with Karrion Kross, keeping him strong. He's another one that's just waiting in the wings for that NXT title. Care to comment on this squash?
Loved all of it. I didn't realize that was Ashanti the Adonis to begin with because I put it on mute because I'm a little over this Karrion Kross entrance. It drags a little bit. It's a little over theatricized, but I don't like Ashanti the Adonis. So his name's also terrible, but he's also not that good in my opinion. So you're shaking your head, bro. It's long-winded. Ashanti the Adonis. His nickname is the. Oh, just to make it work.
One of the worst names I've ever heard in my life.
Okay, I thought we weren't on the same page for a second. Yes, no, his name is awful. And he's not that good to be having a name like Adonis. What are we doing? He's not Luger or Scott Steiner before everything fell apart, right? He's not an Adonis. What are you doing? Um, so I'm good. I'm good with that, and I'm happy for a squash because they're so rare in North American television wrestling at this point. We never really get squashes. So I'm here for that. You have a monster carrying the cross. You got somebody that doesn't matter in Adonis. It worked beautifully together. So thumbs up again. NXT's kicking AEW's ass at this point.
It is a fight right now. Usually it's not a fight. Usually I have AEW ahead at this point by a lot, but it's a fight right now.
It's for me for this week. It has not even been close. NXT was running away with it at this point of the show.
Hey, spoilers. We get to that at the end. Imperium versus Lucha House Party in another Dusty Rose Classic tag team match. Another solid match. It exceeded my expectations, but another upset. Lucha House Party gets the win over Imperium. They have Legado del Fantasma next. Uh, Alexander Wolf comes out and salutes Imperium, or they salute each other. They're in stride, in sync. Um, I'm only interested in that if it brings out Walter, to be honest. But yeah, I actually like this match. I didn't think it was going to be that good. What do you think about
Yeah, a lot better than I thought. I'm not the biggest Lucha House Party fan in the world. For those of you who could tell, I tend to swing towards heels, right, as my preference. But another match that I think suffered a little bit because it was telegraphed. Legado del Fantasma are the opponents next week. They also conveniently already have this storyline going against Lucha House Party. See the Grand Metalik title match that they had recently, right? So it's a little telegraphed. Obviously, we're not going to do Imperium versus Legado. So despite being disappointed, kind of expected it. I don't think it's the right decision, but at least there's a story there with this particular decision. But then also they doubled down and gave me another story where, hey, Eichner and Bartel are screwing up. So here's Alexander Wolf, that I'm assuming was sent at the behest of Walter to try to get them in line, until Walter can get over here from Europe, to try to get them in line and stop screwing up and stop losing matches against Lucha House Party and not demolishing Everrise and not demolishing Killian Dane and Drake Maverick, right? You guys were they UK Tag Team Champions, right? I know they were a pretty big deal over there. Were they not the tag champions at some point over there? Yeah, right. So I'm curious. I got two good stories out of this, so I'm excited.
it? Yeah, a lot more came out of this than I thought it was. So I'm excited too. Um, Next up, we have William Regal and Beth Phoenix, and they are introducing the Women's Dusty Classic, the inaugural Women's Dusty Classic. All the women come out. Beth Phoenix puts over the Women's Revolution. This is the next step in that revolution. So our first match is Casey Catanzaro. Shit, I can't even pronounce it. And Caden Carter versus Toni Storm and Mercedes Martinez, a powerhouse team. Decent shit. I like the chemistry between Casey and Caden, but nothing really crazy on Toni Storm and Mercedes end. This is more storyline driven, I guess, because Io comes out and attacks Mercedes while Toni Storm's in the ring. They eventually get the better of her, and Casey and Caden. First of all, Casey hits this. I don't even know what to call it. It was like a spinny, whirly, flippy thingy, shitty 5,000. But whatever it was, she fucking did all types of rotations and she hit it. It looked crazy. She learned it from Ricochet, I'm sure. And they get the win. I mean, I didn't really know what to expect out of this, but they get the win. Not bad. I say for an opening match for the tournament on the women's side. What'd you think?
So I referred to that when I saw it because I every time rewind. What the hell was that? Rewind. What the hell was that? I think I settled on the Phoenix Splat. because she looked like she hit the back of her head when she did it. I'm not a big fan of Casey Katzen Zero. I'm not really
There we go.
I'm not really a big fan of Kaden Carter. I'm less a fan of the way this tournament is constructed because you have 8 teams from NXT when you don't have 8 teams in NXT. If you're gonna do an 8-team bracket, bring women tag teams from the other brands and they come down and do double duty that week or whatever, so you can fill this out, or do a 4-team tournament like the 4 teams you actually have in the tournament. Casey and Kaden surprisingly are one of those 4. So it makes sense that they would win in advance because Toni Storm and Mercedes Martinez are 2 people who should be fighting each other. You have 97 tag team matches on the show tonight, and you don't have time to do a women's title match spot also. So it served convenient purposes when it didn't need to be. You could have did that spot if you didn't have the match in the first place. I guess we got to get Casey and Kaden their win, whatever. I look very much forward to them losing in the next round. So it was fine, but it was unnecessary.
Yeah, they were hyped after the match, but they're saying they're going all the way. If I don't see it, I think they're gonna lose eventually.
No.
I have no idea who they go against next, but whatever. Next up we have. Let's go straight into the weigh-in first. We have a weigh-in for the fight pit. Tommaso Ciampa comes in at 201 pounds. Thatcher surprisingly comes in at 225 pounds. They have a little pull apart, and we finally get to the main event, the fight pit. I thought they spent a little too much time on the top of the actual pit. They go into a commercial break, then they finally come back. They're in the cage. Physical, gritty, good use of the cage. I like the spot where they use the ref as like leverage so Tommaso Ciampa can hit the widow's belt. Thatcher gains the advantage and he wins with a leg submission against the cage. Kind of felt out of nowhere. Just I don't know. I prefer the one with Matt Riddle to this one, but I didn't think it was bad. What did you think about this?
I did like the Matt Riddle one more, just because I'm going to forget to reference that in my spiel. But at the top, it was cool. I didn't mind it because we got a nice little moment out of it. They did like the rope hang thing, except it was like that ladder to the fight pit that took us to the commercial break. So that was a nice spot. Using what was his name? James Drake or Drake Younger or whatever, the referee. The Nazi referee that they have. Using him as the leverage for for the Randy Orton DDT spot, which by the way is the spot where Vic Joseph couldn't figure out the word in innovative offense. It was on that spot. That was a neat little spot. I like the stretch muffler where he's like stuck in the cage and he got a stretch muffler submission because stretch mufflers never beats anybody outside of video games. Maybe then, right? Like I've never seen it actually win. Like the Brock Lock back, who knows when? How many years ago was that, right? It's not used as a finisher ever. So that was cool. I didn't love the weigh-in. In fact, I hated the weigh-in. The real fight feel of it is cool, but lie to me a little bit because all you did is tell me that you televised a reason why at some point you can have Tommaso Ciampa going after the cruiserweight title, and I'm not here for that. Tell me he's 206 pounds. I'll take it. Don't tell me he's under 205. That concerns me because I know there's horse shit coming around the corner at some point because that's what you guys are good at.
That would be a fucking sad sight. I mean,
I
kind of like Santos. I like Santos, and I like the way he's holding down the cruiserweight division.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind him and Ciampa, but maybe Ciampa could bring some legitimate. I don't know. I'd rather him not have the cruiserweight championship.
Yeah.
But
like he was in the tournament. I know that, but he's also looks like he's put on a bunch of muscle also. So tell me he was on the Cody Rhodes diet plan where he put up 14 pounds. in 2.5 weeks or whatever.
I like I said, I much preferred the Matt Riddle one, but this one it wasn't bad. I did like it. All right, a few segments to go over as we close out the show. We had a nice little MSK vignette. I still don't know what MSK stands for. I'm gonna say marijuana smoking kids. I'm staying with it. Sticking
That's
with
the
it.
popular one online. That's a popular one. I don't think we're gonna get an explanation for what MSK is. I think that's just gonna go unsaid.
Yeah, which is fine. I like the mystery behind it, so I'm just gonna keep my options open. But I'm going for marijuana smoking kids. Um, Before the Bronson Reed match, when he goes out, he actually gets approached by Swerve Scott, and Swerve tells him to not get in his face again. So a little tease there for, I guess, a future feud. We also had the cruiserweight champion Santos Escobar coming out, and I like this fucking promo where he's putting himself over as a real champion. He defends this all the time. He's been the most consistent champion. He doesn't win the belt and then break his jaw. He doesn't win the belt and separate his shoulder. He doesn't win the belt and then lose it to nobodies like Johnny Gargano. He doesn't do any of that shit. He is the legit champion. But out comes Lucha House Party to check his boys, which is Legado del Fantasma. And out comes Kurt Stallion from 205 Live. I thought it was Griff Garrison, but it's Kurt Stallion. And yeah, looks like he might be the next number one contender. Whatever.
Yeah. Touching on all those points as quickly as I can. Isaiah Swerve Scott, finally a character that seems intriguing because he's been so bland this whole time, right? The name's ridiculous also, right? With the it's wordy. It's wordy. And what's Swerve is a nickname. Like what but the character with the color hair and the grill and he's got like this new Matrix like outfit when he comes out. Like, okay, we've got something there. I can't wait to see. I hope it never comes, but I can't wait to see when Santos Escobar pisses off somebody backstage because the Ascension like burial that he's gonna get from Karrion Kross and Finn Balor and anybody else is going to be brutal. MSK promo.
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty good. It's weird randomly without explanation that they start the promo sounding like Borat. I didn't understand that one except for that they're potheads and they think they're high right now and they think it's funny or whatever. It's a nice. That's just so random, but it was cool. It gave me some explanation, so I'm here for that. Kurt Stallion though, creative wrestler preset number 3. Like, dude, these generic ass looking people, and his name also Kurt Stallion. Oh my god. Tyler Russ and Kurt Stallion are on the same show. They look almost the same. They have equally terrible sounding names. What are we doing? And he's getting a title match? This is why nobody watches 205 Live anymore. What are you doing? This is terrible. He has no earthly reason to align with Lucha House Party except for the fact that Legado del Fantasma beats all 3 of them. There's no point in there. He doesn't have a mask. He's not Mexican. There's whatever. You didn't have like a random pull apart and they just helped each other out. They just have a common enemy and we have nothing in common. As far as I know, their styles don't even mesh. This is going to be so bad. This is when they lose to Dynamite again next week when they do this horseshit ass match. So yeah.
Speaking of that pretty much describes the ratings for this week. If I can pull up numbers. NXT 659,000 this week. AEW 854,000. They're up from 762. NXT is also up from 551K. AEW are up 55 to 11 to 2 ties in the Wednesday Night War. Our Wednesday night scoreboard.
Give this me one more time. The last part.
55 to 11 to 2 ties in the Wednesday Night War or Wednesday Night Massacre for AEW.
55 wins to 11 losses.
Yeah, to 2 ties.
I might have to be on Wednesday Night Wars a little more often. NXT has won 11 times in in 66. What? I have NXT winning like 3 times, like in that whole time frame, maybe including this week. But nonetheless, I look at ratings as representing how good of a show you had last week. That's how I look at ratings, right? Last week, AEW had one of its best shows that I've seen in a long, long time. Maybe top 10 of ever episodes. This week for NXT was really good, and it was trash for Dynamite. And Dynamite had like 200,000 plus. So that, I don't understand how that actually works, but to me, it's representative of what we saw last week, right? That's the only way that ratings make sense to me whatsoever. NXT was so much better than Dynamite, and it's coming from somebody with an AEW bias. So I don't know, man.
Let's get into our matches of the night. What was your match for AEW? I am going to go with the opening match, Dark Order and Hangman versus TH2 and Chaos Project, just because the last couple minutes really turned up. I don't think the action was really that hot for AEW this week. How about you?
I had one match that I liked, which was Layla Hirsch versus Penelope Ford, but my favorite match was the only match I thought was good, was the Inner Circle Triple Threat Tag match. Despite Jericho almost drawing himself.
That's the deal breaker for me, man. He almost fucking killed himself, man. I can't.
But aside from that, it did so much positive, right? You had the continuity with Santana Ortiz. You had Hager, who's not a joke all of a sudden again. You had Sammy being a star that he's gonna be. You had MJF not getting into the match until how many minutes into the match in the first place, right? You had Wardlow cheating to help them win. You've got them furthering this narrative as this tag team that shouldn't be a tag team that's going to further upset the rest of the group for the MJF takeover, we're assuming, right? So it hit a lot of stories, but it also had a lot of good action, despite almost having a new Drozdov. So I like this. The only one I really enjoyed instead of just like kind of liked. I couldn't get into that opening match, so there was opinion, but that was my match of the night, the main event, the only event.
Can't argue with that. What about NXT? My match of the night for NXT. I'm gonna give it to the Fight Pit. I think the Fight Pit was solid.
Yeah, I mean it's got to be the Fight Pit, right? The Fight Pit just feels special. It feels like when we first got Elimination Chamber. It feels like, not most gimmicks, but like that, right? Like this is something new and it's something violent and it's something special. We're not gonna get it all the time. It feels like we get special camera angles because of it. Like it has a really nice presentation, and you got 2 believable, violent, actual fighters, badasses in that match. It's worked out lovely. Especially what's coming from that they didn't even air on the show, that they had to put on the website or whatever, where now they have a mutual respect for each other and they're going to be a tag team or something, right? I'm here for this. This is very well done. I want to see so many more fight pits, but also, I don't want them to do it every week either. So I have something I can look forward to and be actually happy when I get it. So.
Yeah, agreed. Definitely keep them special. MVP of the night. MVP for AEW. Who you got?
For AEW, Don Callis.
Tough one.
Don Callis, maybe, because he was brilliant at Kenny's house and he was brilliant with Kenny in the locker room. I think Don Callis.
You know what? I'm gonna have to go with Don Callis as well. The invisible hand, just making the moves back behind the scenes. Unanimous decision. Jabroni. Oh, what about NXT? MVP for NXT. I'm gonna go with Timothy Thatcher for pulling out that W after a pretty gruesome match.
I wanted to do something different, but yeah, I think it might be Thatcher. I think it might be Thatcher because he debuted it, but he's now solidified that he has a specialty match. He's our Shamrock, our Dan Severn. He's got his thing. Like when I know Hell in a Cell debuted was like as an Undertaker thing, but then it quickly became the Triple H match, right? Like he has a thing now. So when shit gets real with Timothy Thatcher, and maybe now by association / tag team Thatcher or Ciampa, things get real, it's going to the fight pits. And that can be the Timothy Thatcher feud blow off thing. So I think so. I think they got a lot of good things for MVP.
I like that. Just keep it going. I hope they keep it going with Thatcher. Jabroni of the night, obviously for Jabroni of the night for AEW. He will be on Joints and Jabronis. It has to be Chris Jericho.
Oh.
It has to be. Guy just fucking almost broke his neck.
No. Not to me. Jabroni of the night is -1. Like,
oh.
Why are you? First of all, you're a child. So you will expect me to believe that you have the restraint within you to not let these people know that your birthday was 3 days ago before right now, right? And even if you did, you're such an asshole that you let them bring out this cake and devote these 10 minutes of a segment to you and book this match in the first place on television for you for your birthday celebration. It's not even your birthday. You're an asshole. I'm sorry. You need to go.
Well, -1, you are Jabroni of the night. What about for NXT? Jabroni of the night, I am going to have to go with Tyler Russ, picking a match and then getting beat. It's Jabroni style. How about you?
Shit. And I know these segments and I'm not prepared. Damn it. Do I not have a Jabroni? Hold on.
You can give it to Tyler Russ too if you want.
He didn't bother me that much though. Because I enjoy the whole like being spunky and wanting to go get it and just not knowing any better. Like I enjoy that, and that's why you got your ass kicked. So I don't mind that actually. The Adonis, maybe? Is it the Adonis?
Yeah, fuck it. You can throw him in there. He deserves it.
Adrian the Adonis for taking that match against Karrion Kross in the first place, not knowing you're about to be murdered on national television.
No arguments on this side. He deserves it.
I lied. I'm Casey Katzen 0 for whatever that move was that it was supposed to be, where you almost murdered yourself with the Phoenix Splat. It looked cool. It looked like when we used to be able to create a top row finisher in the video games, but it looked like it was created on WWE 2K20 because it was so glitchy.
There was definitely a glitch in the Matrix when she was high up in the air because you can't tell how many times she spun.
Like, how do you look like you land on your feet and head at the same time? Like, what was that? Oof.
Hopefully she lands it a little cleaner next time so we could count the rotations. But that is going to be it for this episode of Wednesday Night Warriors. I want to thank Marcus Cash from All Elite Recap. Thank you for coming on Wednesday Night Warriors, being my partner today. Where can we find you at?
Bro, where can you not find me? As aforementioned, I'm on the True Heel Network here, right? We do All Elite Recap with Jimmy Macram. Sometimes with SP3. I have my own channel at My Battery's Dying on YouTube where I go off the bottom 5 things, the things that pissed me off the most this week on televised wrestling between WWE's 3 shows and AEW. You can follow me on Twitter now because that's a thing now, at My Battery is Dying without the G, because Fight TV followed me, so why aren't you?
Ooh. What a line. Fight TV followed me, so why aren't you? Good question, because I have to follow you now. Right. You can find me at True Heel Chris G. You can find me right here in the Wednesday Night Warriors, usually with Romeo Anthony Colon. You can find me on Blunt Impact and Joints and Jabronis with my man Ness, the 3-time baby making champion. And true toxicity, the occasional roundtable. We fucking do it all. So, for Marcus Cash, for Mary Jane, I'm your boy Chris G. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.